first met Stevie Nicks?
When I was a junior in high school up in Northern California, she transferred into my high school as a senior. She did play guitar, and she and I interacted slightly on a musical level at a couple of social events. And then she moved on and went to college.
What happens when passion, betrayal, and raw genius collide inside one of the biggest bands on earth? For Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, their love story wasn't just personal. It was written into the soundtrack of a generation. They weren't just bandmates. They were lovers, rivals, and ultimately creative forces whose tension fueled some of the most iconic music ever made. Their journey is one of fiery romance, heartbreaking betrayals, and unforgettable songs that still dominate playlists today. But behind every harmony was a fight, and behind every hit song was a wound. This isn't just the story of two musicians. It's a story of how love can both build and destroy, leaving behind music that outlasts the chaos.
And I stayed behind and finished high school. And near the end of my senior year, I finally got in a band. And then we graduated from high school, and all of us were going to end up going to the same college that Stevie happened to be at.
Before the stadium tours and platinum records, Lindsey and Stevie were just two California kids chasing a dream. They first crossed paths in high school, where Lindsey was already playing in local bands. Soon enough, Stevie joined him on stage, and sparks flew, not just musically, but romantically. Together they joined a band called Fritz, opening for legends like Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix. Imagine being barely out of your teens, sharing stages with rock royalty. Their bond grew stronger through the grind of rehearsals, late-night gigs, and the wild energy of the late 60s music scene. Even then, their chemistry was undeniable. Stevie's mystical, ethereal presence paired perfectly with Lindsey's razor-sharp guitar skills. But their ambitions stretched far beyond small clubs. By the early 70s, they left Fritz behind to form Buckingham Nicks, a duo determined to carve their own path. They were in love, broke, and betting everything on music. In 1973, Lindsey and Stevie released their debut album, Buckingham Nicks. It was soulful, passionate, and filled with promise, but it flopped. The record label dropped them, leaving the duo scrambling for survival. Broke and humiliated, many would have given up, but fate intervened. Mick Fleetwood, drummer of Fleetwood Mac, stumbled upon the album and was blown away by Lindsey's guitar work. He invited Buckingham to join the band, but Lindsey wasn't coming alone. He gave Mick one condition. If he joined, Stevie had to come too. That package deal would forever alter the course of rock history. In January 1975, Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham officially became members of Fleetwood Mac. What followed was a transformation no one could have predicted. The band went from a fading blues act to one of the most iconic pop rock groups of all time. The chemistry was undeniable. Their first album with Fleetwood Mac, released in 1975, was a smash hit, fueled by songs like Stevie's mystical Rhiannon and Lindsey's upbeat Monday Morning. Practically overnight, the band went from playing modest venues to selling out arenas. For Lindsey and Stevie, this should have been the dream come true. They were lovers, collaborators, and now global rock stars. But fame came with a price. The spotlight magnified their differences. Lindsey, a perfectionist obsessed with control and precision. Stevie, a free spirit chasing inspiration in dreams, poems, and visions. Their creative bond was powerful, but their personal relationship began to crack. Long nights in the studio turned into long arguments. Rumors of infidelity swirled, and the endless touring schedule left little room for healing. What began as a fairy tale love story was about to unravel in the harshest possible way. By the mid-70s, Lindsey and Stevie's relationship had collapsed, but the band couldn't stop. Instead, they turned heartbreak into history. Out of the ashes of their breakup came Rumours, 1977, one of the best-selling albums of all time. Lindsey poured his anger into Go Your Own Way, a bitter anthem that cut like a knife. Stevie responded with Dreams, a haunting ballad that felt like both a goodbye and a spell. Their personal war became the band's greatest weapon. Fans weren't just listening to songs, they were eavesdropping on a breakup in real time. Every lyric was a wound, every harmony a reminder of what was lost. And the world couldn't get enough. Rumours sold over 40 million copies, staying at #1 for 31 weeks. It was both a masterpiece and a battlefield, proving that sometimes the greatest art comes from the deepest pain. But if Rumours was fire, what came next was gasoline. By 1979, Fleetwood Mac was trying to follow up the success of Rumours. But instead of repeating the formula, Lindsey pushed for something bold. The result was Tusk, a sprawling, experimental double album that cost millions to make. While critics admired its ambition, sales fell short of Rumours, and tensions inside the band exploded. Stevie wanted to stick to the magic of their earlier sound, while Lindsey obsessed over avant-garde production and endless takes. Their clashing visions created some brilliant songs, but also tore open old wounds. As the 80s rolled in, arguments escalated from creative disputes to personal attacks. By 1987, it all boiled over. During one infamous rehearsal, a fight between Lindsey and Stevie reportedly turned physical. That moment became the breaking point. For Lindsey, it was clear. He couldn't stay. After years of pushing through heartbreak and conflict, he walked away from Fleetwood Mac. Lindsey's departure in 1987 marked the end of an era. Officially, the story was that he wanted to focus on solo work. But behind the scenes, the truth was uglier. The constant battles with Stevie, the power struggles in the studio, and the emotional exhaustion had finally become too much. Stevie later admitted that during those final days, their fights became so heated, she had to be held back from striking him. For fans, it was shocking. The creative duo, who once turned heartbreak into gold, had finally broken beyond repair. The band carried on without Lindsey, but the magic was never quite the same. For him, from the woman who had been his muse, his rival, and his partner in both love and war. Of course, rock history is rarely a straight line. Over the years, Lindsey reunited with Fleetwood Mac multiple times. Each reunion sparked hope that maybe the wounds had healed, that time had softened the bitterness. The 2003 reunion tour felt especially magical, with fans thrilled to see Stevie and Lindsey sharing a stage again. But just like before, the peace didn't last. Old arguments resurfaced, the same rivalries reemerged, and the cycle repeated itself. Then came the ultimate betrayal. In 2018, as Fleetwood Mac prepared for a major tour, Lindsey was abruptly fired. The official reason? Scheduling conflicts. But Lindsey didn't buy it. In interviews, he blamed Stevie, saying she forced the band to choose, her or him. They chose her. The irony was impossible to ignore. The man who once demanded Stevie join Fleetwood Mac was now being cast out because of her. For Lindsey, it was devastating. For fans, it felt like the final act in a decades-long drama. Now at 75, Lindsey Buckingham looks back on it all with a mix of pain and gratitude. In interviews, he describes his bond with Stevie as mutually transformative. He admits it was both the best and worst thing in his life, an experience that gave him timeless art, but also lasting scars. He still feels the sting of betrayal, especially from being fired in 2018. Yet he also acknowledges the magic Stevie brought to the band, saying she gave Fleetwood Mac something mysterious, enchanting, and irreplaceable. It's clear that while time has softened some of his anger, the wounds haven't fully healed. Still, he sees their story as bigger than just heartbreak. It was the spark that created songs that will outlive them both. In his words, the music was bigger than either of us. It's a bittersweet truth, but one that captures the essence of their relationship, destructive yet unforgettable. A love story of Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks is one of rock's greatest paradoxes. Together, they created music that defined a generation, but the very love that fueled their songs also tore them apart. Their story has everything: passion, betrayal, genius, and heartbreak. And yet, through all the chaos, they gave us art that continues to resonate decades later. Maybe that's the real legacy. Not whether they loved or hated each other in the end, but that their bond produced something timeless. Songs like Dreams, Go Your Own Way, and Don't Stop aren't just hits. They're emotional snapshots of a love story too big to contain. Their personal relationship may never find peace, but the music they left behind speaks louder than any fight. In the end, maybe that's the lesson. Love can break you, but it can also create something eternal. And for Lindsey and Stevie, that eternal thing was the soundtrack of our lives.